If you've been scrolling through endless lists of gaming laptops, comparing screen sizes, GPU names, and RAM numbers, and you still feel like you might end up with a machine that either sits idle in a drawer or burns a hole in your wallet, this review is here to clear that up. You're probably wondering whether a 17-inch beast is worth the extra bulk, or if the hype around the newest RTX 5070 actually translates into smoother gameplay for the titles you love. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through the real-world experience of the HP OMEN 17 and see if it lives up to the promises that come with its headline specs. First off, the OMEN 17 isn't trying to be a just-any-gaming laptop. It's built around a desktop-class mindset, a 17.3-inch QHD panel that runs at 240 Hz, an AMD Ryzen AI 7350 CPU, and NVIDIA's RTX 5070 GPU. That combination means you're looking at a machine that can push 1440p games well above 100 frames per second on ultra settings, which is exactly the sweet spot for competitive shooters and immersive RPGs alike. In practice, I took the laptop into a typical living room setup, plugged it into a modest 1080p TV for a couch gaming session, and the frame rate stayed rock solid even with ray tracing enabled in titles like Cyberpunk 2077. The 240 Hz panel, while overkill for movies, shines when you drop to 144 frames per second in fast-paced shooters. You can actually see the difference in smoothness, especially when you're trying to land headshots at the edge of the screen. What makes that performance sustainable is the massive 96GB of DDR5 RAM. Most gamers never need more than 32GB, but having that extra headroom turns the laptop into a hybrid workstation. I ran a couple of video editing timelines in Adobe Premiere while a game was rendering in the background, and the system didn't hiccup. The 2TB PCIe SSD also eliminates the dreaded long load screens that still plague some older rigs. I could launch a fresh game, jump straight into a multiplayer match, and then copy a large 4K video project onto the same drive without any noticeable slowdown. For anyone who wants to keep both a full game library and creative work files in one place, that storage capacity feels like a genuine value add, not just a marketing number. Now, let's talk about the everyday reality of owning a laptop that size. The chassis is undeniably large. It's about the size of a 15-inch desktop monitor, and the weight tips the scales past 6 pounds. That means it's not the best companion for a coffee shop-to-class commute, but it fits comfortably on a standard gaming desk without needing a special stand. The cooling system does what it's supposed to. The fans spin up noticeably when you push the GPU, producing a low hum that's audible but not distracting. In my tests, the laptop maintained boost clocks for the CPU and GPU during a 2-hour gaming marathon, only throttling briefly when the ambient room temperature rose above 75 F. If you plan to game in a cramped dorm or a small lap space, you'll notice the heat radiating from the bottom, so a cooling pad becomes a sensible accessory. Battery life is where the trade-off becomes clear. The 83Wh 6-cell battery is generous for a laptop, but with the RTX 5070 and a 240 Hz panel, you're looking at roughly 2 to 3 hours of unplugged gameplay before the charge dips below 20%. That's fine if you're at a desk with a power outlet, but it's something to factor in if you expect long flights or coffee shop sessions. The laptop does include an IR webcam with privacy shutter, which is handy for quick video calls, though the 1080p resolution isn't a game changer for streaming. You'll still want an external camera if you're serious about facecam quality. Who should consider buying this machine? If you're a serious gamer who wants to future-proof your setup for the next few years, the OMEN 17 checks a lot of boxes. Streamers who need to run OBS, edit footage, and stay in a high FPS game simultaneously will appreciate the RAM and SSD headroom. Creators who edit 4K video or run 3D renders on the side will benefit from the desktop-grade CPU and the RTX 5070's CUDA cores. And if you already own a decent monitor and just